Spark plug tech. Let's start here. We have all these great tools like EGTs, wideband O2s, but there's one tool that trumps all that, and it gives you the data of what's going on in the chamber, the combustion chamber, right? And a lot of people do not know how to read spark plugs. First of all, the plug has to be fresh, all right? You can't put plugs in it and drive it up to the staging lanes, run your pass, and drive it back, because all that driving is erasing the data that you achieved during the pass, but it's also dirtying up the spark plug before you make the pass. And so let's say, let me point this out. Carburetor's rich, or your tune-up's rich at part idle. Well, it's loading that plug up, right? As you drive it up to the staging lane. Then you make the pass, and let's say it's extremely lean in the pass, but your plug's already dirtied up. And so now that it's lean, it's trying to clean that, it's running leaner, but instead you get to the end, you ain't got the right data. So we have to give, in order to read spark plugs, we have to follow a procedure to do that. And it's got to be, so what I do is I leave an old set of plugs in the engine. I fire the car up, I get all the condensation out of the motor, right? And then I let it cool off, and I put a fresh set of spark plugs in it. And then I push it up to the start line. I'll do my burnout, I make a pass. As soon as I top in, let's say I'm only doing a 330, which for me is about the 1-2 shift, I'll reach over, slap it neutral, kill the ignition. And the reason why you have to do that is because you don't want the engine pulling the motor down, because that's going to change the plug reading. And you don't want the engine to keep running, because that's going to change the plug reading. We need to know what the spark plug was seeing right at wide open throttle. The only way to do that is shut her down and slap it neutral. So we coast to the end of the track. For you guys that don't have push vehicles, take a set of plugs with you. Change the plugs at the top end of the track. That sucks because it's hot, so have some gloves. All right. Your timing is going to be read off of the strap, okay? As the strap starts seeing heat, it will discolor and create a timing mark. You'll see my timing's right there on the end. As you increase the heat on the plug, it's going to move down. So as we increase timing, that increases heat, right? So the strap's going to move this way. Whenever you pull a plug out and it's missing that strap because it had too much timing in it, that means that that heat built up to a point that it couldn't dissipate over into the threads. So heat moves down, moves into the threads dissipate into the head, which the water jackets are cooling. That's how we get the heat off the plug. So whenever we say a non-projected tip plug, see how this one sticks in? Well, a projected tip plug sticks out, and that strap is longer. So it takes longer, that strap is further out in the cylinder, and it takes longer for that heat to get off the plug. And this is the reason, especially on a nitrous combo and big boost applications, we go to a non-projected tip style plug. Air fuel. On an E85 application and alcohol, air fuel is read on this base right here. The smooth ring at the top of the plug comes around that the strap welds to. That's where you're going to read air fuel. On a race gas or a regular gas style application, the air fuel is actually read in the very bottom of the plug at the base of the porcelain, which is this area right here. See how it's dark? So what tends to happen is we're looking for, on a starting point of a tune-up, we're looking for a light tan. And we want it to be right here at the base of the porcelain, right? This is the base. This is what you see when the shell is still on here. That's down off in there. So what tends to happen is as you go wide open throttle, the heat is cleaning the plug, right? So I like to say that the top of the plug is like idle and part throttle. That'll dirty up. Wide open throttle, it's cleaning the plug down to here. And we're going to read the air fuel down at the base of the porcelain where it comes in and does this. We're looking for a light tan. So according to this plug, this tune-up was a little rich. Okay, see how it's black? It goes in color shades. The darker it is, the blacker it's going to be. If it was lean, it'd be clean. It'd be white like it came out. So white to black is your color range for reading a race gas style motor. And what tends to happen is as it leans out, it'll go from black to a charcoal down to a tan to a light tan and then to white. White being real lean, right? On an E85 plug or alcohol, whenever we're reading the smooth base, and I wish I had one here to show you, but what tends to happen is it burns the platinum, whatever that word is, off of the end of the plug. And so what we're looking for is about a half to a 3/4 color change. As it's leaner, so if you pull it out and it's shiny like this, it's rich, right? Way too rich. If you can wipe it off and it looks like a brand new plug, that's too rich. As you increase the heat on it, it discolors this. And I know my hands are dirty. I painted a frame and with Pour 15, and so I'll be looking like this for a month because I didn't put gloves on. That smooth base will discolor, and it works its way around. It don't do certain areas. Literally, it's weird. As you increase the heat, it starts, which means you're leaning it out, right? It will start discoloring, and it'll move around from a part to a half to a 3/4. And if it's all discolored, you're way too lean. And if you pull it out and it's black and it doesn't wipe off, it is way lean. Like you're fixing to burn something up. You know what I mean? Because what's happened is now it's burned all that platinum off. And so we're looking for a 3/4, which to me is a pretty aggressive tune on the E85, to a half. So if it's a street car and it's a guy that's probably never going to look at it, and I'm tuning by plugs, I'm going to put it at a half. If I'm out racing, I'm probably going 3/4. It depends on what the motor wants. If it wants more fuel, it wants more fuel. So you have what we call a starting point, right? So we'll get, if we were a race gas style application, we're looking for a light tan here. We're looking for a timing mark on the edge of the strap. If the plug was too cold, and you have to know within reason where you should be timing wise for your combination, because every combination wants a different amount of timing. But if the plug is too cold, you're going to struggle getting a timing mark on the strap. If the plug is too hot, you're going to pull it out and be like, whoa, look at that timing mark. That's a good indication that you probably need a little bit colder plug. But as we increase timing, so if this plug right here, if I would have added a degree of timing, I'd probably put it here. So I'm on the bit of a conservative the way I tune. So I probably would have added a half a degree. And if we were really having to get down, I probably would have ordered 3/4 of a degree. I wouldn't have went full degree. I'm just not that confident in it, and I don't want to burn it up. All right, so spark plug reading is the key to having all the information. And so you can see where this being an older plug, it's more defined. Let me turn this thing around here. Sorry. But you can see the strap right here, right? So that's where the heat has burned the platinum off the strap. That's my timing mark. Now, if you look further into the porcelain, you don't always have to cut these plugs. But as you're reading, cutting the plug is a great tuning tool. Let me run this thing up. So whenever you're looking at the porcelain and these plugs being older, tell me whenever I get a clear view there.
Yeah.
There we go. See how it's dark down off in there? This plug's dirty, so it's kind of changing the way it looks. But that darkness, I can't get it perfect. There we go. It's because I cut it. But down off that smooth base where it comes down and it runs over to the shoulder, that's your air fuel right there, which is like what you're seeing here, right? Let me get in there. So see how dark that is? That's fat. So if we came over to one of these plugs, I wish these plugs were newer because this would be better. You can see the rust in these plugs because they've been in my shop. See how, like right there, it's down at the base of the porcelain. It's got a little tan, but it's, the wider that is, the leaner it is down there. So these plugs aren't great examples because they're old, but it kind of gives you an idea. You guys that are looking for help reading those plugs, our tech team is like, they're on it. So if you go out and you need help learning how to read those plugs, that is a great way of doing it. For you guys that are learning how to read plugs, this is an exceptional tool to buy. What you do is you screw, this is our cutting block, you screw the plug down off into the block, and then you take hose saw. And you take the hose, this is all a kit we sell, and you drill the shoulder off, and then you can pull this out so that you can see that better. For you guys that don't have a tool like this tool right here will actually screenshot the plug once you get the perfect angle at it. But let's say you're sending one of my tech guys an email with a picture of a plug. The picture quality is very important. I always say cup your hand around it so the camera can focus. And now you know the areas that you need to capture. You need to capture the base of the porcelain. All right, if it's a race gas. If it's E85, we need this part of the plug. And then for heat range and timing, we need the strap. All right, those are all areas of reading the spark plug for tuning capabilities to compare it against your areas. For any of my guys watching this, if you have an E85 plug you can send me, that would be great, because the only thing I have that runs E85 is tore down.